AITA for not giving my BF a threesome. New update, May 31st, 2024. This is a throwaway because too much identifying info is on my main. IF29 met my boyfriend Michael M35 at a show I performed in. I am a theater person as a hobby, and he complimented my performance and bought me a drink. We have been together now for a little over a year. His sister got married last week, and I was initially pleased to ask to be a bridesmaid, but also a bit surprised as she barely knows me. But I thought this was an attempt to have an excuse to also get to know each other better. Michael and I got into an argument the week before because he said that he wanted to entertain the thought of spicing up our sex life and having a threesome. He said since I was bi, why not? I didn't like the idea too much and said so, and it devolved into a petty Cold War, and he started to ignore my messages after he left my place. He didn't reply to me at all until the day before the wedding, asking what time he needed to pick me up since we can't go separate otherwise people will gossip about us. He barely said anything to me the whole time we traveled to the venue. The wedding was fine, but at the reception he got me a plate and leaned in to kiss me, but I shied away and he got up to mingle. I started feeling ill not too long after, and 911 WAD called. I realized I was having an allergic reaction, but had my pen, but still had to be carted off by the ambulance, and that's when someone Echo was looking for Michael, said that he had left with some of the other groomsmen to a bar nearby. I called 6 times and texted that it was an emergency as I was getting checked put by the paramedics, and again when they strongly suggested I go to the hospital, but he never replied. I was released by the hospital and called him to ask him to pick me up, but he didn't pick up, so I woke up my best friend, and she took me home and stayed with me overnight to make sure I was okay. The next morning Michael called me, but I was still asleep, so he left me a lengthy voicemail yelling at me that I ruined his sister's wedding and that I always have to make things about me. He came over to further berate me and told me he should just break up with me at this point as I am dramatic and this is all too much. So I pointed out that he had gotten my plate, knew full well that I have a legit allergy to coconut, and that his sister had told me afterwards that he knew that the cake he gave me was the coconut cream cake as all the food had signs saying what it was and what the ingredients were, as I am not the only person with allergies that attended. He left telling me that he can't talk to me when I am this way. I was honestly exhausted, so I didn't bother going after him. But his father called me to ask how I was doing, and after I answered, he then told me how I am hurting Michael's heart by blaming him, and Michael has been inconsolable since we fought. I texted Michael to ask if we could talk, but the conversation went back around somehow to the threesome and how I don't respect him even in intimate settings or want to hear him out regarding his needs and make things about me. I am so confused because to me this feels manipulative, but I respect his father so much. I go to their church and he is a pastor there, so to have him tell me I am in the wrong through me. AITA, edit. A lot of comments are suggesting that this was intentional, and I have actually never considered he gave me something I am allergic on purpose, and certainly not to use against me to leverage in our argument. But I think I may have to come clean and talk to his parents. I know them well, so hopefully it won't go too badly. Small update. Michael texted me this morning to apologize. He said the wedding was stressing him out, and he had a lot on his mind, so he accidentally handed me the plate he meant for himself, not the one for me. He said he didn't know I was in the hospital and feels bad he wasn't there for me, but he left the reception with some of the groomsmen to blow of much-needed steam. I don't know how I feel about it all, so I just replied, okay. He is now asking to come over and talk this out in person. Second edit. For any and all of you calling me stupid or implying I am a child and why am I still with this guy, etc. Just know, you remind me a lot of him and how he used to put me down and bully me, and it's a real wonder of mine if you treat people in your life like he did me. I suspect you do. Glad to be rid of him and indifferent about you. Relevant comments. Be honest. Have you, now that you are looking back, seen red flags like this? This behavior likely didn't just show up. Have you ever gotten ill after a disagreement with him? OP. Oddly enough, I am sitting with my BFF and she asked me the same question, and yes, actually. Our first real argument that I can remember, I was down with a stomach bug for almost a week and he visited me and made soup. Then the only big argument I can recall outside this one, he wanted to use labels really soon onto us going on some dates, and I didn't. And the next morning, I was sick with chest pains and stomach cramps. I don't want to sound dramatic or accusatory, but since people have commented, he might have purposefully given me something I am allergic to. I just don't know anymore. Commenter. The two of you are completely incompatible. He wants threesomes. You want to attend wedding receptions without leaving in an ambulance. OP. Okay. When I read this, I was with Bestie and we've been drinking, and the scream I scrum laughing so hard nearly killed me more effectively than the coconut LMAO update. I am no longer welcome at church June 1st. 2024. Next day. Well, many of you were right. I should not have met him in person, but I did. He took me out to lunch, insisting he pay for it all, and it was incredibly over the top. He had flowers and a written letter of apology. But as some of you messaged me, his apologies dodged the point by way of, if I hurt you, or that you're feeling X or Y feeling, etc. He quoted some scriptures and said he has repented as his carelessness caused me harm. I wasn't much moved by any of it until he said how much his family loves me and how much our church roots for us as a couple. And I kind of sat back and realized that one flimsy reason I was even entertaining forgiving him and staying was because of the pressure I dealt with as the GF of a pastor's son. It occurred to me that there were so many times I let things slide because he is the heir apparent, so he had the power in the social aspect of our community. Sorry, I know I am rambling, but I'm emotional and tipsy. I remembering just staring at him and saying it was incredibly alarming that by now he can't be aware of my ingle allergy, and that he didn't bother to tell his own GF he was stepping out with the guys, or even that he was stepping out of his own sister's wedding at all. He then said, it was really actually kind of stupid of me to eat a cake that had coconut, and implied I am an idiot for not realizing what I had was coconut. I realized then he would never accept that he was in the wrong, and thus there was no point. I stood up and smiled and said, you know what? Don't worry about it. Thanks for dinner. Good night. To which he replied that if I wasn't going to grow up and accept his apology, I am a waste of his time. He uses that a lot whenever we disagree, and it usually hurts me deeply, but this time it was like a Rolodex of memories flooded my brain, and I really suspect he's been deliberately making me sick whenever we disagree to teach me a lesson. I said I was done, and he needn't waste his time with me from this point on, and left. I then sent screenshots to his father explaining the situation as best I can, without blaming Michael for prior illnesses without proof, and I got a text about 20 minutes ago from his father. His father is incredibly disappointed in my immaturity, and hurt that I wouldn't even give it until Sunday at church, where we can pray together, talk it out, and heal. I felt this way for a while, but I was able to say at this time that using religion as a tool of guilt is low, and I am no longer concerned with his version of God, as that version is a judgmental, cruel, and heartless jerk, while the one I always thought of was loving, compassionate, and kind, and I am done. I was told by him, and by further emails rolling in, that I am no longer welcome at my church until I reconcile with my true husband, and learn compassion and respect for my leaders. So I guess that's it. I will enjoy sleeping in tomorrow and eating coconut-free food, while lazing about my home rather than going to 3 separate church services starting at 8 a.m., and then figure it all out from there. I don't know how to sign off, but I do watch a concerning amount of Charlotte Dobra videos, and she usually ends things with practical shit like, do your laundry or something, so I will just say, live for yourself, feed your soul, and know you are enough. I certainly am going to put in the work to get there, and I hope we all make it to the other side contented, and filled with love and joy. And by the way, F you, Michael. I know you are reading this. I know you know it's me, and I hope your socks are always just a little soggy. OOP added in the comments, I forgot to add to my post, but I didn't want to bring the threesome requests into it. Well, I sent his daddy screenshots of some texts. If you'd like some drama, here are the top 2. 1. It was a night I sent him home after he tried and failed to pressure into sex. He sent me that I was missing out and should be grateful since your body makes me sick, but my love for you is stronger. Would it kill you to be grateful enough to just do a HJ? And 2. On his birthday, I had just been in the hospital after passing out from exhaustion and dehydration and went straight to his party. I stayed at his until everyone left, and I left soon after helping clean all but the kitchen, and he sent, you could have cleaned the kitchen. Then, or stayed over for sex. Then, you're a waste of time if I don't even get birthday sex. Thanks a lot. And after both be suggested adding a third. His dad hasn't responded. Relevant comments. Commenter, holy crap. And you stayed with him, you poor girl. No one deserves someone like that in their life. But you didn't say if you told his dad about him sending you to the hospital and potentially killing you. Because we both know, and the rest of Reddit knows, that he did that intentionally. And if there was proof of him giving you that cake, you could probably send his happy ass to jail. OOP. I didn't and don't have the best self-esteem. And here, as the only black woman in the town that I've known of, I've always known that I am considered less desirable. Not saying that's right, but just knowing where I live. Been here since my preteen years. When Michael asked me out, it was like a parade. Everyone acted like it was a Cinderella story and I won a lottery or something. I have a friend who I have been texting today, and she is letting me know how dumb I've been. I never told her of our issues, and is about ready to commit crimes, lol. I think I lost myself for a bit, but I wanted to leave the church low-key for a while because of my treatment, so that helps a bit. Third update, August 3rd, 2024, 2 months later. It has been a hot minute. I forgot about my posts until I was watching a YouTube video on Reddit stories, and the story reminded me that I never did update. I found a church in my city a bit more laid back, like we can go to the pub after and have a laugh laid back. I did like it and made amazing friends I am still touch with, but the going to church idea came from my therapist, and it was to see if I do identify with the church or the ideals of it, and I don't. So now I am back to being the heathen I am. Lol, my ex quickly moved on, and he had a new GF within a month of us breaking us. Bless that woman, I thought, because isn't she in for a ride? Oddly enough, she reaches out to me on my Facebook, and I was curious and opened it. She started with who she is, how long she and ex have been dating, and how long they knew each other, childhood friends, so basically forever. She then said that she feels convicted by the Holy Ghost to seek a resolution between me and ex, and she is worried I may be his true wife. And if I cannot forgive, then I am proving I am not, and to let her know as she cannot marry him until I make this clear. I shit you not. Seeing the screenshots, the chat with my new church buddies, my friends sent vomiting emoji, and that this is a cult, and not a faith. I concluded they were right and replied with, yeah, marry him if that's what you want, and nothing more. I am getting messages from members of the church, but I don't much care. I've loved my life since leaving. I didn't know life could be so enjoyed, really, and it makes me wonder how much damage the church had on me. But for now, just for fun, I am going to an appointment with a friend of a friend's apprentice on tarot readings. LOL, no, that's true. I was asked. No offense to anyone who believes in it. It's just not normally my thing, so I am curious and interested. Maybe it will be good. I will, you know. Long-distance girlfriend, 28F, has close male friend who likes her. I'm 28M, wondering what to do, plus 5-year update, May 22nd, 2016. My girlfriend is righteous, fair, and caring to the extreme. She wouldn't hurt a fly. Case in point, I once killed an ant that was on the table and she actually cried with real tears because she cares and because she can't see any being, no matter which one, be in pain. Now onto my issue. We're in a long-distance relationship and there's this guy at her work that is really desperately in love with her, in my opinion. It started out as them becoming running partners while she was preparing for a marathon. They run together 3 times a week before work, and long runs at that, sometimes 20-30K. They talk a lot during those and got to know each other. Then they hang out at work. They eat together and talk more. They are both kind of foodies. Actually, that's one of the special things between me and her. So they exchange things they cooked. For example, jam in exchange for honey, homemade bread, things like that. Then sometimes they go to parties together, though as far as I know, he's invited her a couple of times and she's always declined to go to a party just with him. If they are at a party together, it's because it's a group thing and they belong to the same group of people. Anyway, they go to parties and I think they hang out nicely there too. Lastly, although she declines to go party one-on-one with him, they do hang out together on Sunday afternoons and the like. So I'm 100% sure that this guy is super into her. He does everything he can to hang out with her. Now onto her side. She wouldn't hurt me. I was wondering for a while whether she was capable of cheating behind my back and not telling me. In other words, her version of not hurting me. But I'm pretty sure that's not an option because 1, we see each other often, every 2 weeks, and it's miraculously amazing every single time. Mind-blowing. Never seen such synergy in any couple. Everything. The conversation, the love, the activities we do, the sex, absolutely everything. 2, we talk on the phone all the time, every single evening. There's literally no available time in which she could actually cheat on me, unless they meet from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. or something ridiculous like that. 3, she's pretty blunt. I don't think she would hide something like that. She's not the type to be afraid to break up. I think if she felt like it, she'd just do it, because it would feel right. Having said all this, I don't know what to do. Just like I'm 100% sure that the guy would love to be in a couple with her, I think she is also not indifferent, and she would definitely go for it if she weren't with me. They're a pretty good match. They have similar backgrounds, more similar than her and I. They work at the same place and like hanging out at the same spots. They speak the same language, whereas with me, she has to speak in English. None of us are native. He's a cool guy, young, smart, sporty. He's got a lot going for him. It's a funny situation. On the one hand, it's super awesome to have a girl that's so true to you. I'm really sure she's not cheating. That's not the problem here. On the other hand, I'm also pretty damn sure that if we weren't together, she'd be with that guy. It would just make absolutely no sense to not be with him. So the question is that an okay situation? Could one see it as her just keeping the guy as a backup in case we break up? And is that an okay thing to do? Is it an indication that I'm not showing her enough proof of my affection and she believes there's a possibility of breakup? Alternatively, she's somewhat naive about many things. Is it actually possible that she doesn't notice anything? That she really thinks they're just friends and he has no special intentions? On the possibility that she's afraid of a breakup and keeps him a backup, unfortunately, I can't go much further with our current situation to give her a promise of security. We're long distance, so I wouldn't do anything crazy like proposing to her when we've never lived together. I guess the only reasonable thing I could do is quit my job and move to her city. But I love my job so much and I'm doing so well at it that it would be really hard for me to do that. Note that for the eventual plan, when we'd move in together, we would go to a city where I can keep working for the same company. There are many such cities, but sadly the one she lives in is not one of those where we have an office. I almost feel bad because they'd be such a great couple. I feel like I should just make it easy for her and let her be with that guy. Be done with the long distance. Let them be married in their city and have a happy life together. With me, we have another one. 2 years of long distance to get through, and then we'd probably have to both move to another city to be together. We've talked a lot about it. We're both okay with that plan. We both can't wait to move in together. But when you take a step back, it would just make so much more sense for them to be together instead. I guess sometimes love does strange things. I don't know if I should bring this up to her at all. As I said, nothing bad is actually happening at the moment. I just want to avoid that in 1 year she suddenly has a change of heart and goes with him, and we all realize we lost 1 year of our lives. And frankly, if that happens, the two of them would still be fine. But the biggest loser would be me, since I'd be all alone and I'd have to start everything over. The stupidest part is that this wouldn't be a question at all if we lived in the same city, because then she'd obviously spend all her time with me, and she wouldn't have this enormous amount of time spent with this other guy. I don't know what to do. I'm happy with her, and she's happy with me. I just don't want to wake up one day and realize it was all a waste. I'm in my prime years now. I won't be anymore in 2-3 years. Edit. Maybe a reasonable thing to do would be to talk to the guy. There aren't many opportunities for me to do so, but he might be at a gathering that we're going to attend next weekend. Sorry, don't want to give too many details. TLDR, long-distance girlfriend has male friend who's really into her and they spend lots of time together. She's not cheating physically, but what's the best thing to do? Update after 5 years, September 1st, 2021 TLDR. 5 years ago, my girlfriend was really close with this guy. It made me feel terrible. I brought it up with her and here's what happened. I brought up the topic and she was super cool about it. She was surprised and she said that it was just friendship on her side. However, she went up to the guy and asked him if he saw things the same way. He said he didn't. He was actually into her. So she told him that she's with me and that they need to stop hanging out. It was never an issue after that. We still met him at a few parties, but it didn't make me feel bad at all. Reading the old post made me smile. It felt like a big issue back then, but she solved it so swiftly. I'm really thankful to her. We've had the most wonderful relationship since then, and even before then. We're 33 years old now and still going strong together. We moved in together a couple of years ago, and it's been amazing living together, traveling together, being together all the time. She's still so sweet. I love her with the bottom of my heart, and it's obvious she loves me too. You never know how these things will turn out, but ours is a story to fill your hearts with hope and love.